going on, guys? Junior's Fishing Company. Got the vise back today just for a minute. I'm going through a bunch of my bigger inlines looking for some videos, and a lot of my inlines had a trailer blade on them, and I thought I would just take a quick pause and show you how I make my trailer blades on my Musky, mainly Musky. I throw some smaller ones on my bass setups occasionally, but typically I just stick with the big hooks. So I've got, I think this is a 3/0 Mustad treble hook. I don't prefer to spend a ton of money on my big treble hooks. There's a KVD treble hook that I really like, but a lot of the muskie I catch, if the hook's penetrated its mouth, I usually cut the hook. And so spending all that money on really nice treble hooks, I can sharpen these up, and they're really strong. And they're pretty cheap, these Mustad ones. So I've got a 3/0 here, and then I'm going to go through kind of each of the components and stuff like that. And it's really not too much to make your own. You can buy these, but they can be pretty expensive. Or you can buy a bait with them already on it and just interchange that hook onto other baits. But then you're running the risk of really dulling out a hook quick. I mean, you can sharpen one easily. So I use stainless steel wire on these connections, because I found that if you do like a monofilament, your blade it's going to get tangled almost every single cast. Even this stainless steel wire, I'll put some shrink tube over where the really bendy part is. Not of the stainless steel, but of all these different connections you'll see. And this will never wrap around your blade. So again, 3/0 hook in here. I've got my, it doesn't matter what wire you use. I'm going to use super light stuff, split rings and swivels and stuff, because there really isn't a lot of pressure that goes onto this. So you don't need to put a 40-pound split ring and a 40-pound, barrel swivel or whatever you're going to end up using. So I've got, I think this is just this might be 0.5. I just grabbed this out of my scrap bin, just really short. It's about 1.5 inches long, and I just want to make sure that it doesn't impede on my hook eye. So I'm going to line up my hook eye kind of flat with my vise, and that'll just make it easier to wrap on. So I'm going to get this on with just a couple wraps. Just so it's going to stay there. I don't want to cover, I'm going to cover that thread up. I don't want to cover this whole hook or this whole base yet, because I'm going to lay down a bunch of super glue just so the wire connects to my hook. And I'm probably overdoing this by about 100 times, but I've found I've had these for a long time and they never fail. So it's just nice to, you're sitting here anyway, and they only take a couple minutes. So I'm going to put down, this is my preferred super glue, Loctite. I'm going to put a bunch of that down and get that on there. Put my cap back on. Now I can wrap. This is actually 280 Denier UTC in black. And I just really like super tight wraps. And another reason I use it is because you're dealing with all of these these hooks, and that tougher thread is just more likely to not get snipped. I'll go down. So I'm going to go down pretty far, and I just want to make sure I'm going to hold my wire so it doesn't get pushed in any direction. Again, that really doesn't matter. I just like it to look nice. And you can go down as far as you want. It's about as far as I'll go, just because once you get it locked in there, that glue. I'm going to put a little more glue on the top of my, this light is going to be the death of me. You just got to be super careful. I mean, you just got to be careful with, you know, I cut this wire with wire cutters and it is razor sharp. So you just want to be careful. And I can't twist this. This is already so tight on there, I can't even twist my little looped end. So you could honestly half hitch this, put a little dab of super glue and fish it. I do a couple extra things with it. So I'm going to put down just one more little bit of super glue. And this is going to just be a little bit for the durability. Because if you catch a fish, this is what is in its mouth. Come on. So I'll just go back down a little bit, and then I'm going to come back up. And then I'm going to whip finish off about not right by my, I don't know where my whip finish is. Just 3. Where's my whip finish? I don't know. And I can cut that off. And now I'm going to assemble my, so this is just really the most important part. I've got 2 10-pound, I'm trying to make this video not blurry, but I think these 2 treble hooks. I've got 2 10-pound split rings and just a super small swivel. I think this is a 15, maybe 20-pound break strength swivel. But again, the amount of pressure on this is obviously a willow blade. This is a number 6 willow blade. But the amount of pressure on this when it's spinning is like 0. I like willow blades for the flash, but you don't have to beef up this setup. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let this glue dry, and while I'm doing that, I can take this out, and I'm going to need some shrink tube, and I can't remember what size this is, so I'm going to feed this all the way up, get a little moisture on there, and I'm going to push this up to here and expose my little looped end. I can then take my 10-pound split ring and I'm going to feed it on these 10-pound split rings. The hardest part is holding them like that. And the reason I'm going to put this shrink tube on, and the hands are getting all sticky, is because with this connection, it can sometimes, you can kind of see, it doesn't quite reach there, but there's always a bendy part of this wire that occasionally it will, I mean, even if it wraps like this, you don't want that. So if you lower this tubing, I'm going to push down my tubing over my split ring onto just the first loop of my swivel closest to my hook. I'm not going to go over my little barrel, because then this back one, this back hole, is going to be the one I want free and spinning. So I can push this down, and really you don't have to even go that low. You could almost kind of stop right here, and that'll still kind of block it. But there is kind of a little sweet spot to where you get this to. And you just, I mean, if you use some bigger shrink tubing, this one is really tight on there, but that's alright. So I've got it right up to there, and then it's shrink tubing, so you're going to need a lighter. Then you can just let that sit, and yeah, it turns black. I put it a little too close, but so now when that hardens, it won't go anywhere. so I can get my hook back into my vise. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my UV resin. You could use thin or thick, it doesn't matter. I just have thick right here. And I'm just going to coat my thread in UV resin, and this will just help add the durability. Again, that super glue is not going anywhere, but if you're going to do something, might as well waste all of your expensive UV resin. I'll zap that. And you can do any color that you want. You could also, I've thought about doing this, is before you put the UV on, you could wrap some tinsel around this. And if this hook's going to be, sorry about that blade, if this hook's going to be really exposed, it would just help add some more flash. You could do that too. Sometimes I'll do this with, if you just add something here, you can put like a grub tail on it or something, so you're not trying to figure out how to wrap your plastic on to your bait. So there it is. Shrink tube comes in a lot of colors too. You don't have to do white. This turned out white and black, but easy to do. This thing will spin all day. Little trailer blade. Little FYI. Junior's Fishing Company, juniorsfishing.com. See you in the next one.